Hands pressed up against my head as I was sitting in the kitchen, Abby handed me $8 and told me to go get myself a coffee. I was stressed, overwhelmed, and worried because I had just dropped $15,000 on a mentor, spent $10,000 in travels, and was moving across the country. And now I probably wouldn't even be able to pay myself for the month of July. I was finally living in the place I dreamed of, yet I was the unhappiest, broke, and stressed out I'd ever been. My name is Arden Schiller, and I'm an online business coach. I'm here to help you grow without the hustle and grind, embrace the space in the in between, and find joy and fulfillment in your business. I was shifting from fitness coaching to business coaching. I once had it all. I had a lot of money, I had a relationship, I had the house, you name it. But now it was all gone. The layers of who I was peeled off. I was stepping into a new identity, but it just didn't feel good at all. Have you ever felt this way? Like one day you have it all and then the next it's gone, feeling like you've worked so hard, or maybe you're working so hard to get to where you want to be and you're still not there, or you're not even seeing any results, struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel, waking up anxious to work every single day to check off your to-do list, maybe even letting your life control you, your business control you to a point that you lay down in bed and either crash so hard because you're exhausted or you can't sleep because your mind doesn't stop running. Little do we realize these feelings of stress and anxiety in our business come from something deep within. It's not the actual tasks that stress us out, and it's not the inability to see results, though if we did see results, we feel like it would be better, right? Well, it's actually our attachment styles. They drive us to feel this way in our business, show up the way that we do, and hold us back from getting to exactly where we want to be. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit today about attachment styles and how they affect you in your business. There's 3 different types. The first style is avoidant. Avoidant is where you're going to really avoid or suppress your feelings and kind of any part of not wanting to face something. And 90% of the time, we show up in business by using work to cope with avoiding something that we don't want to face. And you guys might be like, oh my God, there's been so many times in my life that I've used work to cope. And a lot of times it's because there's something deeper within. And if we don't heal this, if we aren't able to heal that avoiding how we feel or facing how we feel, it doesn't even just have to be feelings. It could be things that are popping up in our life. Like we might literally rather work instead of do them, face them. And I'll give a few examples about that. So that's avoidant. The next one is anxious, preoccupied. Now, this is where you tend to get a little like anxious, can't really trust within yourself, feel a little bit stressed consistently about business because you're not sure what your next salary is. You're not sure, right, of anything moving forward. You want the stability and security, but for some reason, you're so anxious around not having that. And that's actually pushing you to show up differently in your business, pushing you to show up more scarce, more fearful, and actually more chasing towards other people rather than sitting with abundance and attracting. And then the third attachment style is secure. And this is where we want to be. Now, I always say this 1,000 times, secure is a great place to be because you're going to feel that inner peace and fulfillment. And that does not mean that once you reach this point of secure that you're not going to feel anxious, preoccupied, or avoidant in different areas of life and in your business, right? But the point is that if we can be insecure as much as we possibly can, our life is going to drive at more of a level-headed or neutral state. And that will also affect our business, creating a more consistent income, consistent impact, and consistent feeling around how you're showing up. And people like that. They like the consistency. They like the stability, right? And so when you're showing up secure, people feel attracted to that. So let's dive in a little bit. As I talked about, the first attachment style is avoidant. Sometimes we show up in our business by using work to cope with something deeper within. I've had clients who haven't healed around thinking that they'll never succeed. So they get a second job, they stop working as hard, and this actually puts them in a place where they start to give up on their business. I don't know about you, but sometimes if I feel like I'm never going to do well or I'm never going to succeed, for example, rollerblading, for a long time, I was like, I am not good. And so I was avoiding it. I wouldn't go rollerblading because it was hard. We do that in business too. When things get hard or when we feel like we're resisting something, instead of like shoving through and like figuring it out and getting better at it and learning how to excel, rather we push ourselves down and we go and we get a second job because we don't trust and we start to give up on our business. That's not cool and that's not fun. That's being avoidant. It's avoiding the fact that you genuinely could be successful, because there's so many people like me, like other people in the world who were literally exactly where you're at. They faced it. They stood up and they faced it. And that's why they're successful. But a lot of times I see clients who don't want to face it. And so they end up doing this thing where they avoid it. I've also worked with clients who avoid radical honesty. Oh my gosh, this is a huge one. Scared to admit that maybe their business isn't a priority, or maybe they started their business for all the wrong reasons. Guys, I did that. I started my fitness business for all of the wrong reasons, and I didn't have a deeper why. It's what made it so easy to be driven and make a lot of money, and also so easy to just let go of it and lose a lot of money. And instead of facing and healing from being so radically honest, I spent so much time just focusing on getting to the next step. Oh, I hit a $5,000 month. I want to hit a $10,000 month. Oh, I hit a $10,000 month. I want to hit a $20,000 month, right? And so instead of facing the fact that I actually didn't have a deep why or reason around my overall meaning of business, I just focused on the next step and the next level. I wasn't able to be present. I didn't feel happiness or fulfillment in my business. And so I see a lot of that in my clients. So we have to actually go back and create a stronger foundation and start to be radically honest around what we want. For me, what I've noticed in my avoidant attachment style, here I love to get a little bit vulnerable, is that I doubt myself a lot. I never feel like I'm good enough. And for so long, I used working harder to feel better. I would push myself. I would work more hours. I would, if I was doubting myself, I would go and prospect an extra 30 minutes a day. But working harder didn't do much. I was still stomped on and shoved down by other people back into my doubts. And I let other people tell me how to run my business. I was fragile. I let other people tell me how to live my life and put me inside a box. And because of that, I was constantly burning out. It wasn't until I made the shift that avoiding my doubts was exactly what was holding me back. Instead of suppressing them, I had to sit with them. Like actually be like, am I really meant to be a business coach? And I would write it out. I would literally write out. I would list out what I was doubting myself on, all the things that I thought about. And I would read it and I would meditate with it. And then I would take some time and tell myself I needed to surrender these thoughts and trust that they're not true. Because if anybody else in the world can do it, I can sure as hell do it. So the next time you're doubting yourself or feeling like you're not working hard enough, or start to catch yourself pushing away from business because it's getting difficult, I want you to pause and ask yourself, are you avoiding what you need to do? Are you avoiding what you need to face? The second attachment style that I talked about is anxious preoccupied. I love this one because I see it in myself a lot as well. But I say this to my clients every time we get started. I say, okay, how would you show up in your business if you're making $10,000 a day? No ifs, ands, or buts, right? And I remember when, I had my hands pressed up against my head as I was sitting in the kitchen. Abby handed me that $8, told me to get myself a coffee. And at that point in my life, I had zero trust that I would ever receive in my business if I was feeling like crap, if my life felt chaotic. If my back was up against the wall and I couldn't even see the light, I didn't think I could receive. If I didn't see that I had hot leads in my DMs, if I was overwhelmed because I couldn't charge my MacBook, I felt that I wouldn't receive. Do you ever feel like when you're not seeing results consistently, you start to feel this way? You start to get anxious, worried, not sure if you're able to pay yourself or your coach? Does your head go literally to the worst that can happen? Like you just stop seeing the good and start to focus on what you don't have or what you can't do? Yeah, that was me for a really, really long time. I was really anxious in my business because there was something that I just couldn't find. And it was the trust. It was the trust that no matter what happens, I'll be okay. The universe will take care of me. And my mentor said to me, she said, Arden, write this on a sticky note. She said, every time I take care of myself, my business takes care of me. And I remember that month of July, I took a trip to Joshua Tree on my own with the last $600 in my bank account. And literally the next day, a girl booked like 3 or 4 strategy sessions with me, which equaled $597. And it was like, no joke. Like, I was like, holy guacamole. Like, the universe just took care of me. Right. And there's a book written by Rhonda Bryn called The Secret. And this talks a lot about the law of attraction and how when you focus on what you don't want, that's what you'll get. And when you focus on what you do want, that's what you'll get. And I just genuinely feel like when we're so anxious, we're focused on what we don't want. We're focused on what we're the worst that could happen, right? And so if we can actually bring ourselves, when we start to feel that anxiety and start to feel anxious in our business, to focus on what we do want, that's going to change everything. And that's exactly what I've been able to do. I put up sticky notes on my walls to remind me about what I want. I journal every single night about gratitude as I watch the sunset, what I have, what I'm grateful for. And when it feels like chaos is hitting and shit's hitting the fan and life is flipping me upside down and I just want to cry, because I've had this consistent routine, it actually makes it a lot easier to push through those times. It helps me remember that I still can receive even if I don't see results right now. It reminds me that I can continue to hit that piñata even though the candy is not falling out. Remember, this time is temporary, but clarity and direction that comes out of it is forever. And the third and final attachment style is secure. It's exactly where we should try to find ourselves most of the time. But as I said, it can be hard. There's going to be days that you go back into being anxious or avoidant. And, you know, when you start showing up secure, you will show up when you desire. You'll be able to regulate your emotions. And when life hits you with adversity, you're still going to be able to trust within your business and within yourself that you're moving forward. And that's going to create this inner peace and trust in your business. Obviously, it's a lot easier said than done, but it takes a long time. And there's a lot of awareness that needs to be seen. And I always say having a coach to guide you is really going to support you, but you'll start to attract those soulmate clients. You're going to watch your business create a bigger impact, a bigger income, and you'll finally step into that significance that you truly desire. So I want to go back to the beginning of my podcast. After Abby handed me the $8 and told me to get coffee, I kind of shoved the money down on the table. I was a little annoyed, and I decided to take my dog Barkley for a walk. Remember, I had spent so much money, I wasn't going to be able to pay myself. And as we reached the dog park, I just sat in the sun and I let it hit my face. I started to actually think about what I do have. The sun hitting my face, the ability to relax midday. I got a message on my phone. Boom. My client was able to make her second payment earlier. And it was the exact amount of money that I needed to pay myself. Definitely no coincidence. It was a moment where I realized that moving forward, I had to use that experience to remind myself to trust. Trust within my life, my business, and because of that, it's created a security within. I've not only been able to consistently close clients since that experience, but I've been profiting. I've been supporting my clients through their attachment styles. I'm able to pay myself a lot more than enough each month, and I'm able to take myself on vacations and travel consistently. Sometimes it takes $8 and the sun to hit your face to remind you what you do have. And as you sit and watch the sunset tomorrow, don't forget to journal what you're grateful for.